Welcome back, everybody, to the Chroncast. I'm your host, Alex Rickman, editor and head writer at Canucks Chronicles. Joining me, as always, is Kaja Antic from Game Over. Kaja, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you. I think it only makes sense to start with the big news of the week. The Abbotsford Canucks, Calder Cup champions. What reality are we living in where a Canucks team can be champions?
I know. I was like, I cried a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, but I'm sitting there. I had my laptop open. I was watching it there. I was crocheting. I paused that. But yeah, I'm sitting there. I can't believe I just watched. I'm gonna say the Canucks because yeah, they are the Canucks. Yes, it's not the big Canucks, but when are they ever gonna do something in my lifetime? Let's be real. The Abbotsford Canucks got it done in Game 6. They wanted to get it done in Game 5. An unfortunate bounce off of two guys in front of Shilovs. It goes into the net after Jesse Puljujarvi shot it because that, of course, why not? So Charlotte ended up winning Game 5 in overtime, but they get it done in Game 6. Linus Karlsson led the league in points and goals, was the best forward, but playoff MVP definitely should go to Artur Shilovs. Clutch effort from him. Can't wait to see him in Vancouver next year. And yeah, Abbotsford. I honestly, another player I want to see back next year is Phil DiGiuseppe, solely because of his reaction to the Charlotte fan that was heckling him. Yeah. Anyway, Charlotte, you played a good series. It was one of the better series, unlike the Colorado Eagles who tried to kill us the entire time. Charlotte, kudos to you. You weren't doing that. But yeah, what a game. What a series. What a year for the Abbotsford Canucks. I'm so happy for them.
No, the guy I want to shout out to, who I think absolutely deserves an NHL shot next year, is Linus Karlsson.
Yeah, he's on a one-way, is he not, next year?
To be completely honest, I completely forget. But no matter what the situation is, with the postseason he had and with what we saw from him, like the last quarter of the season in the NHL, at the bare minimum, this guy deserves a good shot to make the Canucks fourth line, if not maybe even a third line role. But this guy can play, and he steps up when it matters. He was there for the clutch goals in the big games. This is a player.
He's in fact a player.
All right. It's not funny.
He signed standard So he is signed 1 year next season, $775. I do not know if it's a one for.
I feel like if it was two-way, it would show. I'm assuming you're using Puckpedia?
Yeah.
I feel like it says somewhere if it's two-way, so. Yeah.
I am still checking. Oh, yeah, minor salary.
Okay.
That would show up.
That'd be two-way, yeah.
Yeah, no, he's on a leagueman deal for next season. They signed him in March.
Yep.
I think he joins the big club next year.
Certainly gets a shot at least.
At least.
Like, we got to see also, like, free agency coming up, trade markets coming up. We'll see what happens on those fronts and just how he looks at during training camp, during the preseason, and what happens. But you've got to be a guy you're at least penciling in as an NHLer.
Mm-hmm.
Or the other guy, Jonathan Lekkerimäki, at points in the playoffs was getting benched, not really showing up. By the end of the postseason, he did look like himself again, yes.
I was just going to say, like, he was a healthy scratch for a number of games, but I'm wondering if he was a bit banged up, because I feel like he was at some point during the Texas
Definitely possible.
Series.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, or Texas or Colorado. One of those series, I remember him, like, leaving for a bit. So I'm not sure if he was technically 100% to go, or if that was just precautionary, but yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Why is it not showing me anything?
And then to the point of, like, being excited to see She Loves in the NHL next season, I'm interested to see what happens in net for us next year, because I think we very much need to trade a goalie. And I think Kevin Lankinen is the safest one we have to be a Canuck next season. Thomas Drance reported earlier this week or last week, I can't quite remember, that the team is looking to get an extension done with Thatcher Demko. Well, Drance was saying last week the team are trying to extend him.
Drance, I respect. I really hope they don't do that, because that would be a bad decision.
Yeah, I do also... Okay.
He's like one more injury away from becoming Georgiev.
Oh, yeah, totally. But just on the front of She Loves in the NHL next year, I don't want to be the one who is just, like, having to be the grumpy old man after he just had this insane playoff run.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to hold out a whole ton of hope, just based off the fact that we played this game last spring where he had a really good playoff run, this time in the NHL, and then caved the moment the next regular season came around. So I think if you're running, and I wrote about this in my last article going over the moves I'd make if I were the GM this offseason, if you are, and I did have Demko being traded in that and Lankinen and Sheelov's tandem, you need to make sure you have good cover sign in the AHL crease.
Tolopilo.
I don't want to trust a young goalie, because my logic is if Sheelov's comes up and we get what we did last season, you cannot keep having him as your backup. You need someone who you can call up and actually feel comfortable having in an NHL crease for an extended period of time. Mm-hmm. So if it was like a short call-up type thing, I'd be happy with Tolopilo. The guy I used in my article, and I did also list that it doesn't necessarily have to be this guy, there's plenty of options, is someone like Kaapo Kähkönen, who's like been around a while, has played a good amount of time in an NHL net, and you just know, okay, if we throw him in at the NHL, he's not going to be like Connor Hellebuck, but he'll be okay.
The guy that we just beat?
Yeah. I know that we just beat him, but he was like...
He was very good.
Yeah, he's a very good goalie at the AHL level, and I think he's a functional NHL backup. Mm-hmm. The Sheelovs we got last season in the NHL was not a functional NHL backup. So I think you just need to be prepared for a case. You can hope for the best and say, okay, we're willing to give him that shot, but you need to also be prepared for the worst and have some kind of a contingency plan, be it someone like Kähkönen or, I don't know, Alex Lyon, Vitek Vanacek, something like that.
Yeah, I was just looking at some of the names. I'm like, damn, there's not a lot of goalies.
There's not a good goalie market this year. That's another reason why I think trading Demko makes sense, is that the goalie market is pretty dry.
Awful.
So
the best one is Marc-Andre Fleury, and he's retiring.
Yeah, that's not going to work.
There's Dan Vladar.
Yep. And there's some guys in the trade rumor mill too, where like, you know, you have like guys like John Gibson's, guys like I mentioned Demko, maybe someone like Elvis Merzlikins, but even then it's not like you're going to have, apart from Demko, who on his upside can be this good, it's not like Marks from last season where there's one name where you know this is like the number one goalie on the market. This is a really good backstop. Demko has that level in him. It's just, you have to worry about his health.
Yeah. What? Sorry, this site just confuses me.
And we've had a few teams connected to Demko in some rumor mill. I don't know if we're actually looking at trading him or if it's just other teams calling around, but I've heard teams like, well, the main one I heard, and I would absolutely hate this, is the Edmonton Oilers.
Oh.
I do not like the idea of trading him within the division.
No.
The other one I wonder about is this goalie situation in Philadelphia is not good.
Yeah, because their proposed starter did some crimes.
Well, that plus the other ones that they already have who didn't do any crimes are not good at playing hockey.
Yeah.
They also have a coach who I believe quite likes Thatcher Demko.
Thatcher Demko, you are a Philadelphia Flyer.
So could you, in theory, send him to Philly, have him rejoin Talkit, and get some assets back? And whether or not we keep these
Jamie Drysdale!
Whether or not we keep these assets, and we can talk about the move the Flyers made the other day in just a minute here. Whether or not you keep these assets or we do the Marcus Pettersson, Philip Hronek thing and just flip him right away for something new.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be a market for him.
Yeah. Okay, what are your thoughts? Stuart Skinner doesn't have an extension, does he?
Absolutely not. No.
As a AHL.
No.
Okay.
Because one, I don't think he'd do that. The Oilers were dumb enough to let him be the starter for this long. Someone will be dumb enough to give him an NHL opportunity.
And it'll be probably the Edmonton Oilers again.
I think so.
Yeah.
So, like, you got that. I don't think it works, and also, like, I don't know. I think if he were to leave Edmonton, I'm going to put him in the same boat as Mitch Marner, where if he leaves his current team, he should probably just get out of Canada and go to a quieter market.
Yeah. He's going to Toronto.
That'll go great.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Edmonton Oilers,
what did they just do?
Lose the Stanley Cup final in Game 6 to the Florida Panthers.
Okay. I was like, because you had your phone, and I was like, did something drop?
No, I don't
know.
I just have our notes on here.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So, 6-game series. The Edmonton Oilers have once again lost the Stanley Cup final. Where are they going, Kaja?
Don't sigh like you did something with the frickin' I didn't watch the game. I'm gonna be real. I didn't watch most of the Stanley Cup final. Because I really didn't care. It was the same as last year. Nothing aside from the first couple games. And I would have watched the game where the Oilers came back to win in overtime. Game 5, 4?
4,
one of those?
I want to say.
4? Yeah. Yeah, I would have watched that game, but I was at a freaking wedding, so I didn't. But there was a lot of people who were watching it there. So, yeah, I didn't watch it because honestly, didn't really care. Neither did anybody else. Florida Panthers fans. The 5 of them. Taylor Swift was there. I feel like that's a last-ditch effort for people to care about something. Am I wrong? Who do you think that girls my age were watching the NFL before that? Do you seriously think? I forget that Tennessee has a team regularly.
In fairness, I've been an NFL fan for like my whole life, and I do too.
I didn't know they existed until a few years ago, and I saw a TikTok from them. And I thought they were like a college team or like a minor league team. Oh, so they're the Rockies. Anyway.
Yeah.
It just wasn't the same old stuff. Good for Brad Marchand. Can't believe I'm saying that. Good for Luongo. Good for Paul Maurice and his cats. Otherwise, really do not care. Sam Bennett getting the playoff MVP is absolutely disgraceful, especially from a league that believes that CTE is not caused by hockey. Very so much so is, because it's repeated head trauma. Hockey is very much so about repeated head trauma, and giving it to the guy, that's a whole other discussion. It should have been Brad Marchand.
It should have.
It should have been.
Yeah.
For his Instagram stories alone, honestly.
To be fair, those did come later.
Those did come later, but those were hilarious. Like, thanking the teams that gave them up. I wouldn't be surprised.
Not even from,
I was
like,
about to say he's in Miami.
From then, he's just still drunk from that night.
Yeah, because he's so small, so, like...
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Corey Perry lost another Stanley Cup final, and I just think that bit's really funny. He's lost 5, right?
5 of the last...
5 of the last 6, 5 of 5 that he's played in. He's
5
won
of 6
one
in
cup in
his career,
07. One cup in 07.
Yeah.
Since then, lost in 2020 with Dallas, lost in 2021 with Montreal, lost in 2022 with Tampa, 2024, 2025 with the Oilers.
The fact that he lost 2 in a row to Tampa, then joined Tampa and lost 2 is my favorite part of this.
Yeah! I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Like, he was just constantly just jumping ship.
Yeah.
Yeah. He almost wasn't with the Oilers, too, for 1 year, because he was with another team, and then they let him go. Eddie, you want to brag about your Canada's team, which is, the farthest team from Canada winning the cup? Okay, go ahead.
It's not even that I consider them Canada's team. It's just that I consider Edmonton the anti-Vancouver team.
It's your 33rd favorite team out of 32 NHL teams.
Considering bumping them to 34.
Oh my god. I didn't know the Nordiques were coming back. Jeez.
I know.
Yeah, It's
but
hard.
Yeah, I would say I enjoyed seeing them lose last year more because it felt more personal.
I guess.
But I liked it again this year.
Yeah. I don't know. Connor McDavid, you deserve so much better.
Yeah.
Shut up. Look, do you want him to relinquish his Canadian citizenship and play for the States?
Can't do that. He's already tied down, I think.
Okay,
There are rules about this.
Yeah, I forgot that there are different rules between confederations and sports.
Mm-hmm.
That's not how that works. Anyway, yeah, Florida Panthers, good job. 4 of the last 5 cups have been in Florida.
The no tax thing is...
No. 4 out of the last 6.
Yeah.
I did my math wrong. I forgot Vegas won. Granted, so did Vegas. Yeah, that was... I feel like this Stanley Cup final was more memorable than that one, but...
Yeah.
It was still...
I want to talk about, like, the Florida tax advantage. Florida and Dallas, I believe Vegas as well, have an advantage with their state not having tax in terms of recruiting.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely an advantage, but I also don't want to take away credit from how well the Panthers have built their roster through, like, really is intellect. Like, they have made better transactions than just about anyone. And I think the no tax thing, I feel, is more useful in terms of retaining players than recruitment.
Yes.
Because, it's the reason probably that they still have Sam Reinhart. It's the reason they were able to keep some of these guys on good contracts. But they also, to go out and get these guys in the first place and turn them into the versions of themselves they became with the Florida Panthers, huge credit to Bill Zito and their front office. Like that. He
looks like bald, angry Connor Garland.
He does, yeah.
Like, I just feel like saying that, so kudos to him. I will also say NHL players will do tax evasion anyway.
Yeah.
John Tavares. Do I need to say more? I mean, it's not like we're gonna get, like, most of F1 drivers living in Switzerland, Monaco levels of tax evasion, but there's gonna be some ways. So yeah, if there's no income tax, they're gonna want to move there. Yeah. Unfortunately, though, they do live in Florida. So, I'd rather pay taxes.
So we're into the offseason now. We've begun to see a few offseason moves. We'll talk about yesterday at time of recording's move, because that's the one that seems the most interesting to me. Trevor Zegras is a Philadelphia Flyer.
After he was so excited to play with Chris Kreider, because they're, like, from generally the same area?
I have no idea where they're from apart from the U.S.
Kreider's from Massachusetts. I think Zegras is from, like, New York area, but, like, the Northeast.
Yeah.
They're both from the Northeast in the States. And so, like, they used to train during the summer and stuff, and there's been, like, tournaments and stuff. I was so sad when Chris Kreider got traded. Not as, like, a Rangers fan, but as a Chris Kreider and Mika Zibanejad fan. I was so sad. And, like, Mika put out a post. Mika's wife also had a whole thing about talking with her daughter about Uncle Chris, and I'm like, this is so sweet. Why does the NHL work like this? I hate it. And then Trevor Zegras was like, yeah, I get to play with Chris. I get to, like, and then I'm pretty sure he had a whole post on Instagram too about it. And he gets traded a week later.
Yeah.
To Philadelphia.
So I just want to talk about the deal in and of itself. So it was Zegras for Ryan Poehling, a 45th overall pick, rather, and a 2026 fourth.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, imagine telling someone a few years ago that Zegras' value would fall this far.
Oh, yeah.
Because, wow. Second of all, I know a lot of the initial reaction has been that Philadelphia won the trade. But, first of all, his production has dropped this low. His production has dropped his value this low for a reason.
Oh, yeah.
He's got, questionable attitude. And he's now going to go play for Rick Tocchet.
Well, it was...
as a skill player.
He had Quenneville.
Yeah.
In Anaheim.
Oh, it was not going to be good there either.
Oh, yeah, absolutely
But
not.
now to Rick Tocchet. This might be the worst situation for him to end up in just for his own style of play. Because Tocchet with him and Matt Van Michkov are both going to get totally ruined by this guy.
Oh,
I also just want to go, in the comments under the NHL Breakers post about this trade, somebody has left, as a Rangers fan, I absolutely love this. You can't find someone who's easier to play against than this guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
When I initially saw that Zegras had been traded, a little part of me thought the next words I was going to read were Vancouver Canucks. And I was going to hate every second of it.
Yeah, that's
you
valid.
Can't deny his skill, but he doesn't produce. He doesn't have the attitude. Basically, this is a trade that I feel certainly doesn't make sense for Philadelphia. And I don't think this whole saga was very good asset management on Anaheim's part. Because he's been in the rumor mill for such a long time. They took such a long time to pull the trigger, and by the time they'd done so, his value had diminished to this point.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if they had just been a little more proactive and got him moved when these rumors kind of first started circulating, probably would have gotten a lot more back.
Yeah. I kind of forget he exists sometimes, and then he scores a funny goal, and it's everywhere for, like, a month.
I feel like
it's gone again.
The moment him or Michkov tries in Michigan, Rick Tocchet is actually going to throw them out a window.
Yeah, he's going to take them out back, and then they're going to be on LTIR. That it's going to be less bad than Torts hockey, but it's still not going to be great.
It's like, it'll be close.
It'll be close. But I feel like Torts is a little more old school.
Yeah.
He liked Drysdale because he could put him on the power play. I just like saying that sometimes. I don't know if Rick Tocchet's going to do the same thing with that deployment.
He would. Cause,
I don't know. He hates quitters apparently, so he's going to hate Zegras. Or maybe they'll get along. Anyway, they get along with inside Philadelphia's training facility. That's not in Pennsylvania, by the way, too.
New Jersey?
Yep. Because, I don't know. Imagine we had a training facility and it's in Banff.
It's a little less serious than that.
Okay, we had a training facility, and it's in Point Roberts. It's in Blaine. It's in Bellingham.
I mean,
Victoria.
Not like Philadelphia is directly across the river from New Jersey.
Okay,
it's on the border.
Pretend that the Georgia Strait's a river. Then God.
It's kind of. It's like how the Jets and the Giants play in New Jersey, where it's like
MetLife Stadium.
Technically, it's a different state, but it's like within the metro area of the city.
Yeah, I can't wait for the World Cup final to be in New York City.
It's kind of like if Richmond was part of Alberta for some reason. Where, like, it is part of Vancouver, it's just there's an arbitrary line that says it's part of a different state/province.
Yeah, I guess, because the states decided to just, like, split everything up.
Yeah.
Into 50, instead of being smart and having 9. Or 10. We had 10. We have 10 provinces.
And 3 territories.
Yeah. And 3 territories. 13. Good number.
This has been Geography with the Chroncast.
Quebec, Newfoundland, Labrador, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, PEI. Okay.
Yep. This is great content.
I have a bachelor's degree.
It's draft week.
What? Right. It's like, what were we talking about? Hockey.
Yeah.
Draft week. I don't know. Really, the only notable thing about this draft class is that the first rounder that we traded for Marcus Pettersson and Drew O'Connor is now going to stay with Pittsburgh. And that, I woke up this morning and I thought that meant that the Rangers had traded JT Miller to Pittsburgh. But I was wrong.
Yeah. I'm going to make an official prediction right now. It is currently 1:20 p.m. on June 24th. I believe that either within 36 hours, the Canucks will have traded their first round pick, or if it is not traded by then, they will be making the selection and not trading the pick.
Okay, I'm writing this down.
Yes, the fact that Abbotsford's playoffs have just ended now, I think, is influencing this, because I do wonder if maybe there's some kind of negotiations that have been ongoing involving players who were with Abbotsford.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the fact that that's no longer a hurdle in any kind of trade negotiations could mean something's coming soon. Or it could mean nothing. Honestly, because we're just stalled.
Yeah. If you want to know who the Canucks are going to draft, just look at all the prospects and sort by country Sweden. You're good.
It's interesting, though, too, because there's not as many Swedes in the area that we're expected to pick this year as there have been in past years.
Yeah, because the draft class sucks.
It's not the best draft class. So I do wonder if we're going to have to go off of, or if we're going to have to buck the trend of taking a Swedish player with our first pick. Which I believe has been the case for every single draft that Patrick Allvin has been GM of the Canucks. I believe it's Lekkerimäki, Willander, and Fernstrom. Melvin Fernstrom last year, he's now a Pittsburgh Penguin because we traded him as part of the market.
Yeah, I know. But we didn't have a first last year.
No, our first pick of the draft, not necessarily a first round.
Oh, okay. Okay, because I was like, we didn't have a first round.
No, we did not.
I was like, am I losing my mind?
So I don't know. I think I'd like to see us end up with the center. End of the day, though, drafting for positional need over everything else is how you take Olli Juolevi over Matthew Tkachuk. So just take the best player available.
Please. Don't pull a Benning. We just beat another Benning. We don't need to think about that anymore.
So, yeah, best player available. Go get him. Whoever that may be. I would like to see it be a center. My favorite prospects in that range, I quite like Braden Coots. I think he's going to be quite good. Cole Reshny, I'm quite interested in. Or who is the other one? I'm blanking on names right now. Damn it. This one's a winger who's not a center, but Justin Carbonneau. So I'd like to see one of them. Ultimately, I still am not entirely convinced we're going to make this pick. I wouldn't be surprised if it's the Minnesota Wild making the pick in the end.
Oh,
Rossi.
I was like, what? I was thinking goalie. They're gonna need another goalie.
I don't think they are.
They're gonna need another goalie. Fleury's gone.
Yeah, they have Gus.
Yeah.
They lost their backup.
You think Thatcher Demko's gonna be a starter?
I think he's going to at least be, like, with what he's getting paid and what we're going to be asking for him in terms of price, he's not going to be traded as if he's a backup.
I guess.
And they have Wallstedt in the minors, too.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
They do?
Yeah.
Oh. When did that happen?
They drafted him.
They drafted him?
Yeah. Jesper Wallstedt?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They drafted him?
Yes.
Oh. For some reason, I thought he was like a Leaf. I don't know why.
Interesting.
Never seen that man in an Iowa sweater. Anyway, there's not really any more hockey. Oh, wait.
Yeah, the thing that dropped right before we started recording.
Oh, yeah! Hall of Fame! The Hall of Fame class was announced for 2025. That's the year. There's more than one woman!
I have it in front of me right here. So, in the builder category, we have Jack Parker and Danielle Sauvageau. Apologies if I pronounced that last name wrong. I'm not great with French pronunciation. In the player category, Jennifer Botterill. Zdeno... Apologies, headphone users. Zdeno Chara. Skip a name. Joe Thornton. Brianna Decker. And finally making it into the NHL Hall of Fame after way too long, Alexander McGillney is a Hall of Famer. Canucks legend.
Finally.
There was another player in there too, but I'm not saying his name out of spite.
That's fine. Tyler Myers decked him.
Yeah, I'm still not saying his name. I don't want to dignify him.
That's fair. You're getting Joe Thornton in the Hockey Hall of Fame.
Joe Thornton, I believe, was also quoted as saying, upon his hearing of his induction into the Hall of Fame, let me pull up the exact words here.
I have it.
Holy
I have
doodle.
It. Yep.
What?
I love Joe Thornton so much. I'm so happy. His speech is going to be an all-timer, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so the one I'm happiest about here is McGillney. Like, this has been years of just how has he not been in for years by now?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just so excited to see them finally do Canucks legend Alex McGillney right and get him into the Hall of Fame.
Finally.
He also played for some other teams.
Yeah, but we don't need to talk about those.
No,
okay.
He's mainly known as a Vancouver Canuck, of course.
Yeah. When you sent me... Wait, was that sarcasm?
What?
He's mainly known as Vancouver Canuck? Okay.
He won a cup in New Jersey, that's probably...
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Oh.
And had a 76-goal season as a Buffalo Sabre.
Well, I know he was a Sabre. Yeah, 70... Yeah, how did he not... He retired before I started school. Like, his last season was 05-06.
He's got the numbers for a Hall of Fame resume.
Mm-hmm.
He got the fact that he was one of the first Russian players to come over.
Mm-hmm.
Like, frankly, I don't know how he hasn't been a Hall of Famer for 5-10 years by now.
Yeah. Well, finally, he did it.
We've corrected the record. Alex McGillney is a Hall of Famer.
That's... Yay. Yay! Now, who's next? Who's next? Who's been... Because for me, it was always Alexander McGillney. And Jennifer Botterill should be inducted.
And both in now. or
Both
set to
in
be
now.
inducted.
Yeah.
I forget how it works.
She's gonna be the only Hall of Famer on that panel, is she not? Is McLean a Hall of Famer?
I don't
You shouldn't be.
think any of the rest of them are in the Hall of Fame.
Kevin Bieksa should be.
Bieksa belongs in the Hall of Very Good.
They didn't add in for Brada. Rabada. Yep. Ron McLean. I spelt Ron wrong.
Yeah. Okay, now I'm just blanking on everyone who's on the Sportsnet panel, so...
Well, it's not going to be Luke Gazdick.
No. Kelly was good, but he was not Hall of Fame good.
No, he's not in the Hall
Especially
of Fame.
with goalie standards for Hall of Fame.
Yeah. I'm still shocked they put Luongo in. At some points.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, okay.
So, yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
All the bros who complain about Jennifer Botterill on the panel, zip it. She's the only Hall of Famer on that damn panel. I'm trying to think of what other names should be.
The thing is, a lot of the ones where I'm thinking of players who should be in the Hall of Fame is players who are, like, too recently retired.
Marc-Andre Fleury?
Or, like, too recently retired, or in some cases not retired. And, like, in some of those cases, the thought process is pretty boring, because, like, Alex Ovechkin should be a Hall of Famer. That's the least exciting thing anyone's ever said.
Sidney Crosby?
Sidney Crosby.
Evgeny Malkin?
Yep, Malkin, Letang.
Yeah.
What do you mean, yeah?
I don't know. I feel like, yeah.
Bobrovsky.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Longevity and clutch.
I guess.
Or, like, McKinnon. What are you looking up at this point?
I'm adding a list to somebody who should be in.
Oh, yeah.
Julie Chu. That's my addition.
Yep. Elias
yeah.
Pettersson. Not Elias, Elias.
He's like 20.
Yeah, and?
But, no.
He's my favorite Pettersson.
By that rate, the French are going to be putting Lane Hudson in the damn Hall of Fame. And he looks like he just came out of the mines.
He's at that age where he should be allowed out of the mines.
The children yearn for the mines.
The children yearn for the mines. As a child, I yearned for the mines. That movie is better than it should have been.
I saw a boat on the weekend that said, I forgot the Islanders have a new GM.
Oh, yeah.
I saw a boat that was named Comin' in Hot, and I was just thought of the Minecraft movie, but I was the only one of my friends who had seen it. So yeah, I didn't say anything about it. Duncan Key.
Alright, so now that his name's been said.
No, it wasn't!
That guy's in the Hall of Fame now, too.
I said Duncan Key. That's a different name. He works at a lumber mill outside of Prince George. Different dude. Completely different dude.
Anywho.
Completely different dude. We don't have to talk.
Anything else hockey related we want to bring up, or? Yes.
Okay. I did some research, and I'm probably gonna do a longer video about talking about this potentially at some point. I should probably start working on while it's topical. The Abbotsford Canucks. So I went through every single professional Oh, that's the within 36 hours. Every single professional hockey team that has ever played in Vancouver. Boom. 2 pages. The last time a professional hockey team in Vancouver won the championship, whatever the championship was, it doesn't have to be a Stanley or whatever. It last professional hockey team in BC overall, 1970, and it was the Vancouver Canucks, in the Pacific Coliseum actually, with the Western Hockey League. Not that Western Hockey League, the other one, winning the Lester Patrick Cup. Yes, cup, not trophy. That was in 1970, and the last professional hockey team outside of the city of Vancouver to win a championship was the Victoria Maple Leafs of the WHL, who were an affiliate of the Toronto Maple Leafs. In 1966, won the Lester Patrick Trophy. So, last 2 teams. The Abbotsford Canucks are also the fourth professional team in the province of British Columbia to win a championship in their league of active teams in the 21st century. They are joining the Vancouver Canadians, who have won 5 league titles so far. Pacific FC of the CPL, winning the North Star Cup a few years ago. Don't laugh, Alex. And then the BC Lions. BC Lions. Most recently winning the Grey Cup in 2011. So yeah, that's all we have in BC. I mean, we have a few sports teams that haven't started playing here or haven't finished their seasons here. So Vancouver Rise FC still have yet to finish their season. PWHL Vancouver has not started their season. Warriors have never won in the NLL. Vancouver FC has never won in the CPL. Whitecaps, I did not count the Canadian Championship because that is against amateur teams. And the CPL, I'm counting Toronto FC and CF Montreal as amateur.
Toronto, I would allow it.
Yeah.
Montreal are... That's where little guy's dog plays.
Okay. Well, Montreal is the one team that we did not have to take to penalties to win the Canadian Championship the last 3 years.
Yeah,
and I've only ever seen them lose.
Yohei bailed our ass out in that game.
Yeah, I do have a video of that saved.
Slightly hot take. The Whitecaps did not deserve to win any of those 3 finals. As an avid Whitecaps fan, the first one, you could make an argument that they did. The one against Montreal, we were the worst team. The one against Toronto last year, we were the worst team.
But we won. And they didn't.
Even better. Even better than the fact that we won is the fact that Toronto lost.
Yes.
And it'll happen again this year because this time we even have a good manager.
Watch us get kicked.
If we lose to Valor.
We drew with Valor.
In the first leg. We still got to beat them at home.
Are they not the second worst team in the CPL?
They might be the worst.
Vancouver FC.
Oh, I'm aware.
Okay.
It's a hotly contested race.
FC2, 0. Bandits, 0. And then that other team that plays at Rogers Arena, 0. So, congratulations, Abbotsford Canucks. You are the pride and joy of Fraser Valley, and it was really fun listening to Americans try and talk about what's in Abbotsford when they're really just talking about what's in Vancouver. They were spotlighting the steam clock, and I'm like, I'm basically in Abbotsford, where I am. That's at least an hour and a half out.
Yeah.
Good luck. You want things in Abbotsford to do? You found the one thing, Abbotsford Canucks.
Yeah.
There's Abbotsford Canucks, Castle Fun Park. That's it.
I pulled up the CPL standings.
Valor's
VFC last? Do have a worse... Okay, so they're the 2 bottom teams in the league. VFC have 6 points, Valor have 8. Valor also have a minus 17 goal difference, while VFC have a minus 11.
Oh, wow.
So it's a pretty hotly contested race for worst team. Also, Pacific are tied with Valor on 8 points. They're only ahead on goal difference, but Valor and VFC both do have a game in hand on Pacific.
Oh.
They're probably going to lose that game in hand.
Yeah.
But
Pacific, what happened?
They still have it. They've lost a lot of their players to higher leagues.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, skill issue. Literally.
Yeah, no, it in fact is.
Yeah, quite literally is a skill issue.
That's like the first time skill issue has ever actually been used for a skill issue.
Yeah, fair. Anything else?
Okay, just open my soccer app. I need to just quickly point this out. The match has been interrupted. I'm not sure why. But as of at least the 52nd minute of the game, pre-interruption, Auckland City and Boca Juniors are tied at 1 in the Club World Cup.
Auckland City lost 10-0, right?
10-0 and 6-0, I believe. 6-0 coming at the hands of Benfica. We put a semi-pro team in the group of death here.
Yeah.
They know. They get it. Everyone on this Auckland City team, I think, has gone in expecting to lose every game. But they have a chance to at least get a result against Bocas.
Why is it suspended?
I'm not sure.
Adverse weather.
Oh, yeah. Where's it being played? Nashville. What the hell's going on in Nashville? Anyway. Speaking of soccer, let's talk about the CONCACAF Gold Cup a little bit. So Canada's had an interesting start to the tournament.
Excessive heat?
Oh, yeah, that would do it.
It's 34 degrees. Oh, thunderstorm. Never mind.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I was like, bro, just take the cooling breaks. They were doing that for every other... No, never mind.
Okay. So Canada at the Gold Cup has gotten off to a rather interesting start. So I'm just going to gloss over the Curacao game because I wasn't really watching much of it, and also I don't want to talk about it. Canada drew 1-1 to Curacao in their second game. We don't need to go any further into this. Let's talk about that Honduras game.
Yeah, you were there.
This was the first time I've ever gone to watch the Canadian men's national team in person.
Really?
Really.
Oh, wow.
I've seen the women's team I've seen the women's team once. I was at Christine Sinclair's last game.
Okay.
But this is the first time I ever watched our men's team play. Picked a pretty solid game. A 6-0 win, 2 goals from Tejan Buchanan, a goal from Burnaby's very own Nico Sigur, which I believe, I could be mistaken, but I believe is his first at a Canada shirt.
I think it was, yes.
Yep. That was a game where you just look at the team and think, wow. And then you looked at the next game and you're like, wow. But the player I want to highlight, I want to highlight our strikers a little bit. So Jonathan David played like Jonathan David. He was very good. Tanny Oluwaseyi had a really good game. Promise David off the bench I thought was excellent. Kyle Larin was also present. Listen, Kyle Larin is a Canadian national team legend. He's our all-time leading goal scorer, I believe. Jonathan David might have caught him. I don't remember. Anyway, I could have entirely made that up, too. David may be well behind. I'm going to stop talking about that. It's time. His legs are gone. Like, he's still pretty good if you can get the ball to where he is standing at the exact moment. The thing is, he can't really move that much anymore.
Okay.
So if you can't get the ball to directly where he is standing, you have issues. The thing is, for a defender, once you realize this, your job becomes rather easy.
Leave the football before it leaves you.
Yeah. I would also like to point out, possibly my favorite part of this game was who started in goal for Canada. Purely because it was not Maxime Crepeau.
Yeah. Yeah. He's also just bad now, so...
Yeah. So, Dane St. Clair, keep it up. Please keep him in the rest of the way. I think he's a better goalkeeper anyway.
Yeah.
And a pretty solid performance from 19-year-old center back Luc Defougerol, who is also being linked to a potential move to the Vancouver Whitecaps. Would love to see that. I don't necessarily think we need a center back. However, he is the kind of player where if you get him, you find a way to make it work.
Yeah.
If someone's got to be pushed to fullback, we have to shift to a back three of some sort. I think you can make something work.
Jesper will figure it out.
I trust Jesper to find something. Maybe it means like Tristan Blackman move back to right back. That's his original position anyway, although he has been elite at center back this year. I think we're going to get a few caps in the All-Star game, and he will be one of them.
Yeah, he was he leading this category, or was he like second or something?
I think he was in the lead. We talked about this on the show 2 weeks ago, but I kind of have forgotten.
I know.
And it's probably changed since then.
Yeah. I just remember Yohei was 5th for goalkeepers. Brian was 2nd for striker.
Yeah.
Sebastian was leading his group, and then...
Yeah, I think it was Tristan who was up there. And I think Ranko might have been up there, too.
That would track.
Someone else was up there.
I support that.
Yeah. We also just want to mention... 2 injuries at the Canada camp / in-game so far, both of which have fallen on Vancouver Whitecaps players. Ali Ahmed has left Canada's camp and returned to Vancouver, so we're wishing him well. Seems like it's a high ankle sprain of some sort, so it could be a while before he's back, but wishing him all the best. The more unfortunate of the 2 injuries is Sam Adekugbe has torn his Achilles. So presumably with an injury of this nature, that's most likely to be season-ending. And by most likely, I mean...
Definitely.
Guaranteed to be season-ending.
Yep.
With Sam, with his injury history, you even wonder if we're going to see him in a Whitecaps shirt again at this point, or even playing professionally at this point. So just hoping for the best for him. Just sucks to see this happening again. He's such a good guy, does not deserve to have this happen. Just want to see better.
Yeah, because he already was injured earlier this season. Yeah. He came back, and now he's injured again.
Yeah. I also wonder if this potentially leads the Whitecaps to signing a left back. Obviously, they have Tate Johnson right now, who has done quite well when called upon this season. But even if you want to have Tate be the starter for the rest of the year, getting him some cover feels important. So maybe signing some kind of like...
He's also 12?
13. But like, if you sign just like an MLS veteran who can come in and be available, be steady and stuff like that, just to have someone else there for if Tate needs some rest or if he starts to have a little bit of a cold stretch, as young players often do.
Yeah, because he's important. 12 and needs to go back to school.
Yeah, and if he starts staying up late, he's going to get all cranky and everything. And
he needs a nap time.
Yeah, he needs a nap time in a juice box.
We're mocking a professional athlete.
I've met Tate a while ago too, and he's a very nice guy.
Sorry, man.
Sorry,
I hope
Tate.
you and Helmut Marko are having fun listening to this.
Tate
I
Johnson,
stole the bit.
Avid Chroncast listener. We should also talk about. We've talked about one torn Achilles. We'll talk about another. Game 7 of the NBA Finals happened the other night, and I'm a Thunder fan, so I'm very happy with the results of this game.
As of like 2 years ago.
As of last offseason, I picked at random, sort of.
Okay.
I picked from a list. Okay, I picked from a list of teams my friends helped me make because I wanted to pick a young team with a future.
Damn.
I kid you not. I kid you not. I wanted something that would give me the Canucks experience. Otherwise, I would immediately lose interest in the sport.
Yeah, that's fair.
I narrowed it down to 2 teams in the end. I kid you not. They were the Thunder and the Pacers.
Yeah.
So, listen, I'm happy with the results. However, I am also a big Tyrese Haliburton fan.
Yeah.
Just seeing what happened to him in Game 7, incredibly unfortunate. His Achilles appears to be torn. It now seems questionable if he's going to play next season.
Yeah, you could see it, like, break.
Yeah. I was not watching the game at this point. I was covering an altitude game, but... God.
I saw the video back. Yeah. But, yeah, like, he was already playing with an injured calf beforehand. Yeah. Like, going into Game 6, and he still played in Indiana, ends up pulling off the win to force a Game 7 in OKC. But then yeah, you just watch that back, and it was pretty early on too. And then there was basically no other option. I don't know. I also feel kind of bad for OKC that their win is being overshadowed by this, but
hell of a season for both teams, though. Fantastic final series.
Yes.
For years, it's been the NBA having the boring playoffs where you already feel like you know what's going to happen at the end of the NHL having the parity. These last couple of years, it feels like it has flipped a little bit.
It's like 5 years.
League's got to... The NHL has really got to start doing something about this because I do feel like teams are getting an advantage based off of use of the LTIR loophole and...
Well, they already started...
They are working on the LTIR loophole, but we got to get something done soon.
Yeah, because there was talk in the new CBA, but the new CBA doesn't go into effect until next year.
Yeah. So I think playoff salary cap is what I heard, which I like that idea, although I don't know what the salary cap would be. So that's an important factor here.
It'd probably be a little bit more than...
It'd be above what the regular season cap is to some degree, but if it's like way above, then this is not going to be anything effective.
Yeah.
But if it's like within a couple million, it's like, okay, that's reasonable. Like, if somebody is legitimately injured and you go out and get a replacement, that's fair.
Yeah. And then
it's just like when Mark Stone miraculously comes back in game 1 of the playoffs after spending the last 4 months golfing.
When Evander Kane misses the entire season.
Yeah.
And it miraculously comes back.
Yeah.
I love the NHL. Who's calling me?
Yeah. On that note, anything else we want to bring up, or should we wrap up the show?
I don't have anything other than the Queen of Surrey is underrated. That's all I'm going to say.
All right. Thank you to everybody for listening. You can check us out on Instagram at Nux Chronicles. Thank you to Helmet Marco for listening especially, and we will talk to you guys next week. Goodbye.